First up, Australia is drawing a line in the digital sand. Communications Minister Annika Wells is rolling out new rules for social media giants like Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, and YouTube, aiming to ban under-16s from these platforms. But here's the kicker. They're not demanding a strict age verification for every single user. Instead, these tech titans will have to take reasonable steps to keep the youngest users out. Will this multi-layered approach actually work, or is it just another symbolic gesture in the ongoing fight for online safety? We break down the how and why behind Australia's world-first legislation and what it means for everyone online. Next, we jet over to India, where the Madhya Pradesh High Court has hit the pause button on live streaming court hearings. Why the sudden stop? To protect lawyers from the viral meme machine. One lawyer, Arihant Tiwari, argued that streams were being twisted into reels, clips, and memes that mocked the legal profession. So, while streaming will continue on platforms like Cisco's WebEx, the public spectacle on YouTube and Twitter is out. We're exploring the delicate balance between transparency in the justice system and the very real threat of online ridicule. Then we head to Indonesia, where social media isn't just a place to share updates, it's become the ultimate battleground for protests. Following the tragic death of Ajal driver Afan Kurniawan and growing anger over economic inequality, platforms exploded with calls for reform. We're talking billions of interactions, viral symbols like green and pink, and a movement dubbed 17+8 that swept across the nation. But with this amplified voice comes a darker side: misinformation, hate speech, and crackdowns. How did social media become both the town square and the war zone for Indonesian democracy? And finally, circling back to Australia, we get the gritty details on their teen social media ban. The government is pushing for minimally invasive age checks, leveraging AI and behavioral data rather than a universal ID scan. Communications Minister Annika Wells is clear. Social media platforms can target ads with deadly precision, so they can certainly protect kids. We're diving into the specifics of this December deadline and what reasonable steps truly mean for giants like Google and Meta. Stick around, you don't want to miss this. Subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a story. Australia's Digital Shield. No universal age ID for teens under new ban. Australia is making waves with its groundbreaking legislation aimed at protecting underage users online. But the approach is proving to be anything but a one-size-fits-all solution. Communications Minister Annika Wells announced that social media giants like Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, and YouTube will not be required to verify the ages of every single user under the new ban for those under 16. Instead, the government is pushing for platforms to implement reasonable steps to prevent children from accessing these apps. This strategy aims to balance online safety with user privacy, moving away from a blanket verification mandate. The legislation, which has been in development, aims to tackle the growing concerns around the impact of social media on young people's mental health. Experts and industry players have voiced mixed reactions, with some describing the previous iterations of the laws as vague and problematic. The eSafety Commission, Australia's online regulator, will be empowered to issue hefty fines of up to $49.5 million for noncompliance, signaling the seriousness with which Canberra is treating this issue. The guidelines suggest a multi-layered approach incorporating elements like AI and behavioral data analysis. This allows platforms to use existing technologies to infer age reliably, much like they target advertisements with precision. The eSafety Commissioner, Julie Inman-Grant, emphasized that this method is intended to be minimally invasive, ensuring that adults don't face overly burdensome re-verification processes. The ban is set to take effect soon, with companies facing a December deadline to comply and deactivate underage accounts, a move that will be closely watched by governments worldwide. Public reaction has been divided, with parents largely supportive of the protective measures, while some in the tech industry express concerns about the feasibility and potential overreach of such regulations. Analysts suggest that while the intention is clear, the enforcement will be the real test. The government is also introducing other measures to protect children from harmful content, including AI chatbots, and has seen agreements with platforms like Roblox to curb online grooming risks. This digital frontier is constantly evolving, and we're staying ahead of the curve. Next, we're heading to India, where a high court is taking a stand against meme culture, invading the courtroom. Indian court silences social media streams to shield lawyers from memes. The High Court of the Indian state of Madhya Pradesh has issued a significant order, halting the live streaming of court hearings on social media platforms like YouTube and Twitter. The reason? To protect the legal fraternity from being ridiculed through memes and viral clips. Advocate Arihant Tiwari brought this issue to the court's attention, explaining how these public streams were being misused by several private entities in creating reels, clips, and memes, which are derogatory and wrongfully portray the legal fraternity. This decision comes amidst a broader push in India to embrace e-justice and expand online broadcasting of court proceedings. However, the Madhya Pradesh High Court's move highlights a critical concern: the potential for public platforms to distort or trivialize sensitive legal processes. While the court has not made a final ruling, it has directed its registry to cease live streaming bench hearings and criminal cases until the matter is fully resolved. This temporary injunction reflects a growing awareness of the digital challenges facing the justice system. To maintain a degree of accessibility, the court has specified that proceedings will continue to be streamed via Cisco's WebEx, a collaboration service. However, features that allow for recording of these streams will be disabled. This move aims to provide access for interested parties while mitigating the risk of content being captured and repurposed for mockery. The court will need to navigate complex legal considerations, including copyright laws and rules regarding the reuse of court materials, before handing down a final judgment. The situation underscores the tension between the desire for open justice and the need to preserve the dignity and integrity of the judicial process in the age of social media. Audience impact. This ruling has sparked debate online, with many questioning the balance between transparency and protection from online harassment. Legal professionals are watching closely to see if this sets a precedent for other courts grappling with similar issues. Justice systems worldwide are adapting to the digital age, but what happens when the digital world itself becomes the subject of legal scrutiny? Stay tuned as we explore how social media is shaping protests and democracy in Indonesia. Indonesia's digital uprising, social media as town square and battleground. Indonesia's recent nationwide demonstrations have underscored the potent role of social media, transforming it from a simple sharing platform into the central arena for protest, reform calls, and expressions of public dissent. The movement, initially sparked by student and labor activism against legislative perks and economic inequality, gained explosive momentum following the tragic death of 21-year-old Ajal driver Afan Kurniawan, who was fatally struck by a police vehicle during a protest. Footage of the incident went viral almost instantaneously across social media, igniting widespread public outrage and fueling demands for police accountability. Big data consultancy Drone and Prit reported that content surrounding Afan's death achieved unprecedented virality, garnering nearly 10 billion interactions within a mere 12 hours, a stark contrast to previous viral events. This surge in online engagement directly translated into massive street protests across major Indonesian cities. The movement coalesced around the 17+8 campaign, outlining 17 short-term demands and 8 long-term reforms, symbolized by the colors green and pink. Green represented Afan and the gig economy drivers, while pink was inspired by a defiant image of a woman waving the national flag. These symbols, easily adoptable, amplified the movement's reach across diverse demographics, akin to the symbolic gestures seen in Hong Kong or Thailand. However, as noted by Nurianti Jali, an expert on digital governance, social media simultaneously serves as a battleground. While platforms amplify calls for change, they also become conduits for misinformation, hate speech, and provocative content. The government's response, including the arrest of vocal activists, further complicates the landscape, raising concerns about freedom of expression. The challenge for citizens lies in leveraging social media not just for immediate mobilization, but as a sustained catalyst for building lasting coalitions and advocating for genuine reforms. The ongoing trend sees governments increasingly regulating digital communication as essential infrastructure, seeking to maintain legitimacy while managing democratic participation. Audience impact. The 17+8 movement and its visual symbols have captivated global attention, sparking discussions on digital activism and its effectiveness in driving political change. Analysts are observing how these online dynamics will influence future governance and citizen engagement in Indonesia. From the digital streets of Indonesia, we're now returning to Australia to uncover the specific strategies behind their teens' social media ban. Australia's minimally invasive strategy to keep teens off social media. Australia is forging ahead with its pioneering ban on social media use for individuals under 16, set to commence in December. The government is urging tech companies to adopt minimally invasive, age-checking methods, moving away from a universal verification process. Communications Minister Annika Wells emphasized that platforms, which possess sophisticated targeting capabilities for advertising, can and should apply similar technologies to identify and deactivate underage accounts. The focus is on reasonable steps rather than demanding every user prove their age. The eSafety Commissioner, Julie Inman Grant, clarified that companies are not obligated to conduct blanket age verification. Instead, they can leverage existing data and AI to infer age reliably. This approach aims to strike a balance, ensuring the ban is effective without imposing significant new burdens on adult users, who should not expect to undergo constant re-verification. The ban, passed in November 2024, gives companies a year to adapt, with a critical deadline of December 10th to remove underage users from their platforms. This world-first legislation is being closely monitored by governments and tech firms globally. The Australian government's guidance, issued by the eSafety Commission, recommends a multi-layered approach, potentially incorporating behavioral data alongside AI. The goal is to protect children from online harms, a concern amplified by the widespread use of social media among teenagers, with reports indicating that 95% of 13 to 15-year-olds use at least one platform. The eSafety Commission holds the authority to impose substantial fines, up to $49.5 million, on companies failing to comply, underscoring the government's commitment to enforcing the ban. This regulatory push includes addressing lawful but awful content and has already seen collaborations, such as with Roblox, to mitigate risks like child grooming. Audience impact. Tech giants are under pressure to innovate compliance strategies, while parents are keenly awaiting the implementation of these protective measures. The global implications of Australia's approach could shape future online safety regulations worldwide. That's a wrap on today's top stories, but we're not done yet. We'll quickly recap the headlines and give you the full Buzzcast sign-off. And that's a wrap. Australia is rolling out new rules for social media and teens, focusing on reasonable steps instead of universal age verification. In India, a high court has paused live-streaming court hearings on social media to protect lawyers from memes. Indonesia's protests saw social media become a crucial battleground for calls to reform and express dissent. And Australia is pushing for minimally invasive age checks under its teen social media ban. If you got value from this update, smash that like button, subscribe to Buzzcast for more, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a beat. Share this video with your friends and follow us on all social platforms for even more exclusive content.